Hello guys, hope you are doing well, staying home, and as usual I say stay home, stay safe, and do excel chemistry. So today let's talk about, as I said already, there are two important compounds that we should discuss on in the chapter of hydrogen and its compounds, that is water and hydrogen peroxide. So today let's talk about water, and the next day, in fact maybe tomorrow, no, day after tomorrow, we'll be talking about hydrogen peroxide. So today is about water. Okay, we all know the importance of water. Okay, like biological aspect, you know pretty much. Okay, so basic information, I'm just superficially explaining the things. Number one, it consists, or uh, it is 65% of a body, right? And our body generally contains 65% of water only, and as far as our earth is concerned, so it is 3/4 of the earth's surface is filled with this. 3/4 of earth's surface is filled with water. Okay, and we know, if you talk about the structure of water molecule, so it is basically oxygen being electronegative, the central atom attached with two hydrogens, and oxygen contains two lone pair of electrons. Okay, so this is what the water molecule look like, and all these two bonds are what? Sigma bonds. Okay, and the hybridization is sp3 hybridized. Fine. And because it is an sp3 hybridized, normally we know that it should be what shape? Tetrahedral with a bond angle of 109 degrees 5 minutes. But water molecule, even though it is exhibiting sp3 hybridized, it will not be of this shape. It is basically of bent shape. You can see it very clearly. It is little bent shape, or inverted V, or some books V shape also. Okay, so bent shape with a bond angle of 104 degrees 5 minutes. Okay, so if you talk about the bond angle, this is what? 104 degrees 5 minutes. Okay, now why is this the bent shape and 104? Normally it is at sp3, means sp3 should generally be tetrahedral, but we don't find tetrahedral, we find it as bent shape. Okay, why? The reason for the bent shape is because, I'll write it as reason: lone pair repulsions. Okay, in chemical bonding you might have studied bond pair, lone pair, and lone pair, bond pair, three repulsions. Okay, out of which first is lone pair repulsion, the greater repulsion. So because of these two lone pairs of electrons, okay, there is a greater repulsion between these two lone pair of electrons, so they try to repel each other. So as they try to repel each other, now these bonds which were like this, now because of the repulsive force between these two, when they repel, they are forcibly crushing down the bond angle. Okay, so this is lone pair repulsion, and because of lone pair repulsion, there is a lone pair bond pair repulsion. Okay, lone pair bond pair repulsion, and that's the reason this side also lone pair bond pair repulsion. So that's the reason they are crushed down to a smaller size, that is 104. Basically it should be 109 degrees, but because of the lone pair repulsion, it is crushed down to 104 degrees 5 minutes. Okay, so the reason is what? Lone pair repulsive forces or repulsions. Okay, and apart from this, we can also say that water molecule is, see, you can see H2O is polar in nature, oxygen being most electronegative, most or more electronegative, not most is fluorine, so relatively most electronegative than these two elements. So what happens? The dipole moment, if we talk about the dipole moment, or the what is electron negativity? Electron negativity, it is the nature of pulling, or tendency of an atom to pull the electrons, to attract the shared pair of electrons towards it. So as it is pulling the electrons, it gets partial negative charge, and this gets partial positive charge. Same way from this side also. So when the electrons are pulled towards oxygen, so partial negative, and this is what, partial positive. Okay, so from here electrons are going partial negative on this, from this side also. So it generates partial negative, more partial negative, and partial positive, partial positive. All right, so on a whole it is behaving like a polar molecule. It is a polar molecule. It has two poles, plus minus two poles are there. Okay, so in fact it acts like a good polar solvent. Polar solvent. Water is a very good polar solvent. Okay, and water can exist in three states, which you all know. What is that? Solid, liquid, and gas. Solid, liquid, and gaseous form. In solid we generally call it as ice. On cooling ice we get water, which is liquid water. And on further cooling, not cooling, on heating ice we get water, and on further heating we get vapor, and we generally call it as steam. Okay, the names, the physical states are different, but their chemical composition is all same. That is H2O, H2O, and H2O. Only thing is, this is in solid, this is in liquid, and this is in gaseous form. Okay, fine. So in fact, when I talk about ice, you might have seen, like you know about glaciers, okay, or icebergs. Okay, when I say iceberg, maybe most of you have got in your mind about the Titanic. Okay, so it was hit by an iceberg, and that's why it shrink. And the interesting part is this: if you see like iceberg, okay, if this is water, if there is a huge iceberg, okay, there's a huge iceberg here, what you see outside is just 1/4. 3/4 of the iceberg is below the sea. Okay, nevertheless, okay, that's the size of a mountain, which is, mountains are above the what I can say is the sea level, and that we see huge mountains. So icebergs are also as equal to mountains, but most of its size, or most of the amount, is under the sea. Okay, so 3/4, and this is only 1/4. Now my point is this: so iceberg or ice is floating on water. Yes or no? Ice floats on water. Why? The reason is this: in ice, each, number one is this, each oxygen atom is surrounded tetrahedrally by 4 hydrogen atoms. 4 hydrogen atoms, that is 2 hydrogens that are sigma bonded hydrogens, and 2 sigma bond means sigma covalent bonded hydrogens. Okay, covalent, 2 sigma, that is covalent bonds, and 2 H bonds, what you have studied as H bonding. Okay, so each oxygen atom, each oxygen atom will be surrounded by 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so this is our H2O molecule, and behind this I have another H2O molecule which is attached with a H bond. Okay, this is a H bond, and this is another water molecule which is attached with a H bond. So each oxygen is surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 4, 2 are sigma bonds, and 2 are what? These 2 are what? H bonds. Okay, fine. So on a whole, when this kind of structure is formed, okay, it results, or the resulting structure is in a open structure having a number of vacant spaces, a number of vacant or empty spaces. Between one molecule and another molecule, there is huge amounts of empty spaces when they are hydrogen bonded like this. Okay, on a whole, ice, each oxygen atom is surrounded by 4 hydrogen atoms, 2 covalently bonded to itself and 2 hydrogen bonded to other molecules. Okay, and when that kind of structure is formed, there are huge amounts of empty spaces or vacant spaces arised, okay, in between the molecules, and these empty spaces or vacant spaces causes, okay, we know, like because of this reason density is light or density is less. Density is what? Less. You know by formula, that is density formula is what? Density is equals to mass upon volume. Density is equals to mass upon volume. Now here the mass is remaining same. Liquid, if you take one particular amount of one glass of water and that glass of water convert into ice, and then if you take that ice and the same amount of water and put it in the ice cube in that water, it floats. It floats. Okay, why it floats? The mass is remaining out to be same, but volume, as I said, empty spaces, vacant spaces, huge amounts of vacant spaces. In other words, empty space is nothing but more volume. If volume is increased, then density will be decreased. Yes or no? So we know this relation. If density is lesser, so definitely it will float. Okay, so density is less as comparative to water, so that's why ice floats on water because of its lesser density. And why is it having lesser density? Because of its increased volume. Why the volume is increased? Because of the empty spaces present. How come the empty spaces are present? Each oxygen atom is surrounded by 4 hydrogen atoms tetrahedrally, and out of that 4, 2 are covalently bonded and 2 are hydrogen bonded. Okay, so that compact structure makes them to have empty spaces. Alright, so this is what about the overview of hydrogen, or not hydrogen, water, oxides of hydrogen or hydrogen of oxygen. Okay, hydride of oxygen or oxide of hydrogen. Alright, now let's talk about the preparations and properties. Fine. So first properties, then I will come to preparations. In fact, I will talk about physical properties first. Physical properties. You are all familiar with these physical properties. Number 1, it is colorless. What about its odor? Odorless. What about its taste? Tasteless. Okay, again, color, as far as color is concerned, no, if there are layers and layers, huge amounts of water comprised on layers and layers, then we find like light blue in color. Okay, fine. And of course the reason of the color is, again, you can study in physics in detail how the scattering happens and why the sea, blue sea, we say, right? Blue sea, why is it blue when it is huge amounts of water? Okay, completely water, and we say it blue. Okay, as I said, again, when it is huge amounts of layers of water is combined, and because of a phenomena of the scattering of light, we see it as blue color. Anyways, I'm not getting into that. Overall I say like colorless. Okay, fine. Then we know that it is tasteless, and okay, fine. Its melting point and boiling point, you are familiar. Melting point is how much? 100 degrees Celsius. Oops, I'm talking about melting point, 0 degrees Celsius. And boiling point is how much? 100 degrees Celsius. And if you talk about density, it is more denser. Okay, density of water is the highest, okay, which is 1 gram per cc. Okay, and is it polar in nature? Yes, it is polar. As I said just now, it is a polar solvent. It acts like a polar solvent. Okay, and this density is generally at 4 degrees Celsius. Okay, so do remember this, at 4 degrees Celsius density is, because if they don't give while solving the questions, not in here, in some other chapters of physical, if they say like water at 4 degrees Celsius and some question based on that, then you should assume like density is what? 1 gram per cc. Fine. So information that is useful in physical. Alright, so these are the basic physical properties, nothing much. Now let's move to the chemical properties. Okay, so let's use brush page. Okay, so chemical properties. To begin with, first let me talk about the nature. Okay, we know like water is what in nature? Is it uh, acidic or basic, or what do you say? Neutral. Okay, fine. And whose pH value is how much? pH is equals to water. Neutral, no, neutral. So should be less than 7 or greater than 7, or exactly 7? Exactly 7. Okay, then it is a weak electrolyte. Weak electrolyte. What do you mean by weak electrolyte? Weak. Strong electrolyte means when you take the, like, strong electrolytes, example NaCl. When you take NaCl and drop it in water, it quickly breaks down into Na plus and Cl minus ions. Okay, if you take about HCl, they break down into H plus and Cl minus ions. Okay, so whereas water is considered as weak electrolyte, nevertheless it is acting like electrolyte only when we add some amounts of pure water. Is not a good conductor of electricity, we have studied. So we talk about weak electrolyte only and only when there is a pinch of salt or acid or a base. Okay, at that only we see like it acts as a weak electrolyte. And weak electrolyte means, on a whole electrolyte, it breaks down as H plus and OH minus ions. Of course the breakage is very less, that's why we call it as weak electrolyte. Okay, in pure water, if you talk about in pure water, this thing you need to remember, the concentration of H plus, see we represent it like this, concentration like this with the brackets closed. Concentration of H plus is equals to concentration of OH minus. What is the meaning of this way? This represents what? Concentration. Okay, you take a beaker of water, and in this, if I say it's a pure water, I mean that how many H plus ions are there, same OH minus ions are there with the amount I am considering. Okay, so we use our representation to say the language that I have used as concentration of H plus. This is how I represent. Okay, concentration of H plus is equals to concentration of OH minus, which must be equals to 10 to the power of minus 7. Okay, at pure water at 25 degrees Celsius. This also, when we change the temperature again, the concentration varies. Okay, we'll have a detailed study of it in kinetics and other chapters. So as of now, information is this: in pure water, concentration of H plus is equals to concentration of OH minus, which is 10 to the power of minus 7 at 25 degrees Celsius. And in fact from here you will get the pH value as 7. Alright, so then, in terms of its nature of acidic or basic, or actually it can behave as both acid as well as basic, because it is liberating H plus ions and it is also liberating OH minus ions. So it can behave as an acid as well as a base. That's the beauty of water. The second one, reaction with metals. Reaction with metals. Okay, I divide the metals into 3 segments. Okay, one, or A, alkali metals, because they are very important. Alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. Alkali or alkaline earth metals, both of them react with water. Okay, both of them, they react with water to form respective I think you all know excuse me, you all know about the base. Okay, respective hydroxides. Okay, in fact I should say they both form alkalis. They both form what? Alkalis. And I have told you long back what is the difference between a base and an alkali. Okay, so example, sodium plus H2O, it gives NaOH plus, what does it liberate? Yes, H2 gas. And calcium plus H2O, it liberates also H2 gas. Okay, so on a whole we see that in fact this reaction we call it as decomposition. Reaction with metals is decomposition. Water is decomposing into 2, right? Okay, so when I react with metal, water is decomposing into 2. Fine. So the point that you must know is all the reactions that are reacted with alkali and alkaline net metals are, we see that delta H is negative. Now what is the meaning of delta H is negative? Delta H is negative meaning it releases huge amounts of energy, so it is called as exothermic. It releases huge amounts of energy. Okay, sodium and calcium, in fact sodium, the moment you take out sodium, where do we store sodium? Sodium we generally store in kerosene. Okay, in 8th standard I think you might have studied this point. So sodium is stored in kerosene. So when you, as soon as you take out the sodium from kerosene, as soon as you take out and put it here, it just catches fire. Okay, reason, the sodium is so much reactive, even the moisture around the surface, or the moisture that is present in the atmosphere, is sufficient enough to put it on flame. And what is the reaction? Sodium reacts with water, okay, reacts with moisture to form sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas, releasing huge amounts of energy, and it is put on fire. This is huge amounts of energy. This energy is sufficient enough to make or to burn the hydrogen. Okay, fine. So on a whole, this is a reaction. Fine. And this is one way, and there is another, as I said, another set of metals, that is like metals like zinc, magnesium, iron. Okay, these metals, when steam is passed, okay, this, even the moisture, cold water also not necessary, moisture is also enough. Okay, moisture, when that moisture is like little heated, you can say like moisture together it forms like water, and water can be of cold water or hot water. Okay, and if too much of hot water, we generally call it as steam. Fine. So zinc, magnesium, iron, when treated with steam, okay, is passed over hot metals. Again, these metals should be what? Hot metals. When hot metals of these is treated with steam, is passed over hot metals, then the decomposition takes place. Okay, so that is, but oxides are formed. Zn plus H2O will form zinc oxide plus hydrogen gas, and the same way magnesium plus H2O will form magnesium hydroxide, it forms hydrogen gas, and iron plus H2O, don't forget, all of them are what? Red hot metals. They are very hot metals when treated with steam. This is what? Steam will give iron oxide Fe3O4 plus H2 gas. Okay, so this is what. And the third one, that is C metal, C type, C category, that is gold, silver, platinum. What do you say? When treated with water, the reaction is no reaction. They don't react. In fact, the reason why they don't react, in fact, we already know gold, silver, platinum, they're all what? Very least reactive metals. Okay, they don't show any interest towards reaction with water. Alright, so on a whole, 3 categories I have divided so that study can be easy, simple. Alkali, alkaline earth metals, and in the alkaline earth metals itself, our magnesium should be coming, but magnesium especially I have taken it in separately. Okay, because we generally treat magnesium with steam. Okay, calcium also, calcium on reacting with water is like warm water, it happens to be of warm water. Okay, and excuse me, so calcium I let it as, in some books it is as warm water, in some books it is as hot water. Fine, basically warm water is sufficient enough to put calcium or decompose water in presence of calcium, whereas metals like this, red hot metals, in presence of steam. Okay, with iron it's relatively important, do remember this, with iron. And there are some metals, noble metals, like they don't react at all, that is gold, silver, platinum, with water no reaction, be it with hot water, cold water, or steam, doesn't matter. Okay, fine. So that's what our second method of method about, or not method, second property, chemical property. And third, reaction with, once again, with non-metals. We spoke about metals, now we'll talk about non-metals. And with non-metals especially, the important ones are with halogens. Okay, so that is, let me use again here, with halogens, that is X2 plus H2O. I'm writing to generalized expression first. X2 plus H2O gives, what do you expect? Before I write the product, you expect something. Okay, let's say for example chlorine, Cl2 plus H2O. What is the probability of the reaction to happen and it should give? Obviously you are familiar with this already. Hx plus this thing you have to know, HOX. Okay, that is hypochlorous form. Hypochlorous acid is formed, hypohalous acid is formed if it is chlorine, chlorous. Okay, so very important point is this. Here the X2 stands for chlorine and bromine only. So what about fluorine? Fluorine is fluorine of course undergo reaction, F2 plus H2O, it gives same HF plus HOF is further, okay, it is further proceeds the reaction and forms O2. Okay, so do remember this, F2 plus H2O gives HF plus O2, and F2 plus H2O also forms HF plus O3. Sir, when will it form O2 and when will it form O3? It all depends upon the amounts of water I am taking. If I take 2 moles of water, surely oxygen. If I take 3 moles of water, surely ozone. Okay, O2 and O3. Fine. So it all depends upon how much of amounts I am taking. Fine. If I take huge amounts of water, then both are formed. Okay, ozonized oxygen. Fine. So in fact 2F2 plus 2H2O gives 4HF and O2. Okay, this one 3 6, so it should be 6 and 6, so it should be 3. All right, so 3F2 plus 3H2O gives 6HF plus ozone. Fine, ozonized oxygen, the combination, this is called as ozonized oxygen. If they say limited water or less amounts of water, oxygen gas. Okay, if mentioned as excess amounts, then basically ozone. Okay, or if they pinpointedly mention 2 moles and 3 moles, this should be the way. Fine. Okay, if they mention generally excess amount, see that it is ozonized oxygen. If look for the ozonized oxygen option, if that is not there, then ozone. All right, so this is a reaction with fluorine. With fluorine, chlorine, bromine. With iodine, no. With iodine, I2 plus H2, no reaction. Okay, so in fact about this point, iodine, all these three, they do react because their delta G, there is something called as Gibbs free energy, is negative, so spontaneous. But for iodine, the Gibbs free energy is positive, which is not spontaneous. Instead of I2 plus H2 to give in reaction, reverse reaction possible or not. Okay, we'll talk about that in halogens. As if now, very simple point, putting the things very simple. X2 plus H2O gives HX plus HOX. This is what? Hypohalous acid. Okay, so with chlorine and bromine, this is what the reaction. If it is with fluorine, the hypofluorous acid is highly unstable. Okay, HOF is highly unstable, so it will quickly break down. Okay, this oxygen comes out as O2 and O3, and HF remained as HF. Clear? Okay, so if you wanted to me write for the example of chlorine, right here, Cl2 plus H2O gives HCl plus HOCl. Okay, now here one more important point. If I further treat this thing in the presence of sunlight, if the reaction is carried out in the presence of sunlight, HOCl again, HOCl now in the presence of sunlight will again further undergo or break down as HCl plus O2. This one breakdowns or further undergoes as this thing only and only when the presence of sunlight. So while you are solving the question about chlorine and water, see that if sunlight word is mentioned, the reaction should all the way it should go to what? HCl plus O2. If sunlight is not there, what do you have to mention? HCl plus HOCl, that is hypochlorous acid. Okay, one more time. Chlorine on reaction with water, if asked generally like this, then you should write the products as this. Chlorine and water on reaction in the presence of sunlight, if they say, the reaction should be what? Cl2 plus H2O gives HCl plus O2. So looking for sunlight. Alright, same goes with bromine. Okay, so bromine, for bromine sunlight is not sufficient to further proceed this unless it is heated. Okay, when we provide huge amounts of heat, then only this will break down as HBr and O2. Okay, so if you want me to write, I'll also write that Br2 plus H2O, HBr plus HOBr, and here if it is mentioned as on heating further, then it gives what? HBr plus O2. Okay, so if it is mentioned as on heating or excess amount of heat is produced or not produced, on excess heating, then you should further go it as what? HBr and O2. Okay, so do remember this key points. And with the non-metals, no, so the non-metal, that is carbon, that is coke. Coke on treating with water, what do you guess? What do you guess? We have done this at 1000 degrees Celsius. Okay, no, not this one. Coke generally is obtained at 1000 degrees Celsius, right? So what we observe, coke on reacting with steam, what do you get? What do you get? What is the name of this one? Forgot? Remember. Okay, water gas, preparation of water gas. Coke, steam, CO plus H2. Okay, at very high temperatures we find the carbon monoxide with the hydrogen gas, we call it as water gas. Alright, then we'll move to the next one, that is, I'll put all the reactions of hydrides, carbides and all the things in one go. Okay, so see to this, pay attention to this. Reaction with, putting the things all in one simple way, with hydrides, with carbides, nitrides, phosphides. Okay, hydrides, carbides, nitrides, phosphides. Whenever we treat the hydrides or carbides or nitrates or phosphides with water, what could be the product? One product will always be this, that is, with hydride we always see the liberation of hydrogen gas. Whenever you see hydride on reacting with water, be it sodium, potassium, any hydride, when you see with the hydride reacting with water, see that there is hydrogen gas liberated. After hydrogen gas liberated, what are the products that you find? That will be the remaining product. Okay, and with carbide, when you see, your products will have acetylene. Okay, or methane. Basically it will be of acetylene, but depending upon the number of carbons and that is the reaction, I'll talk about that. Okay, so number of carbons and all. So carbides, acetylene or methane. With respect to nitrides, it is ammonia liberated. Okay, could be in vapors, could also be in liquid state, generally in vapors. Okay, and phosphides, with phosphides we observe that phosphine in case of nitride, ammonia, in case of phosphide, phosphine, pH3. Nitrogen phosphorus falls on the same group gada, so NH3 released, here pH3 will be released. Okay, so I have covered many reactions in these 4 words. Okay, one more time. If the reaction is happening with hydrides, be it metal hydrides and all, okay, metal hydrides, basically there will be definitely hydrogen gas liberated. If it is reacting with carbides, acetylene, okay, that is, what is acetylene? Ethine, or that ethine can be further that is hydrogenated to form methane. Nitrides, will always liberate ammonia, and phosphides phosphine. Okay, for example, in fact, with this information, if I write any reaction, I think by this time you must be answer this. Okay, suppose if I write calcium hydride when treated with water, what do you expect? Calcium hydride, metal hydride, yes or no? Metal hydride, immediately you have to think, already we have seen these reactions. What happens? This hydrogen H minus and H plus comes out and hydrogen gas is liberated. I have told it already. So H2 gas, and this calcium will be forming our calcium hydroxide. Okay, then if I write another reaction like calcium carbide, I'm taking carbide now, so H2O, and calcium carbide, same, CaOH twice plus, what is the other product that I should get? Acetylene, that is C2H2, C2H2. Okay, okay, this is ethine. Fine. Then if I write one more reaction, let's say for example with aluminium, Al4C3 on treating with water, as usual again all of them will form the respective hydroxides, yes or no? So basic medium, so aluminum hydroxide, what is the aluminum hydroxide formula? AlOH thrice. Okay, you must be knowing only when you know the charges. Fine. Those who have attended the doubt session in the previous class, aluminium, as I said already, 13th group will have what charge? +3. Boron, Balagangadhar Indian Tilak, boron, aluminium, 13th group, so its charge is +3. So aluminium with +3, OH with -1, crisscross, then you have Al1 OH thrice plus. And apart from this, since it is a carbide, either it should be forming what? The ethine. If two carbons, ethine, otherwise methane. Okay, with three carbons, that is methane. Then if I write a reaction with magnesium nitride, for example, Mg3N2 plus H2O, what should be the product? Magnesium nitride. Nitride always will liberate what? Ammonia. So magnesium hydroxide plus ammonia. Then one last reaction I'll ask you. Suppose if it is what with phosphide, no? So calcium phosphide on treating with water, we should form same story, but phosphide will form pH3. Okay, so you cannot by heart the reactions. Okay, I wanted you not to by heart the reactions. Understand the reaction first of all. Okay, skeleton reaction low, if you can understand what product is formed, if you can anticipate them over a period of time, it is very easy for you. Okay, so hydrides, H2 gas, carbides, acetylene or methane, nitrides, ammonia, phosphides, pH3. Suppose if you have a doubt, sir, in carbides acetylene or methane and రాశారు కానీ when should choose what అంటే కనుక, acetylene generally you see it with even number of carbons. Okay, with odd number of carbons you generally see with methane. Fine. So on a whole, these are the reactions with the respective hydrates, carbides, nitrides and phosphides. Suppose if I ask you to write okay, that's enough. Now let me move on to with further one. Reaction with salts, no, a reaction that is related with hydrolysis. Okay, so this is important. In fact, you have already seen this reaction in your 10th standard, that is soap molecule and all. I'm putting it very simple, that is CH3CO minus and Na plus. Okay, you have a soap molecule with huge C17, but I'm not drawing C17, I'm putting CH3CO minus. Okay, plus with water, what do you expect? As soon as you drop this in water, this negative part comes out, positive part comes out. Here also H plus and OH minus, and so OH minus will go with Na plus, forming our NaOH, plus CH3O will go with this one, CH3CO COOH. Okay, in fact this is a reversible reaction and it happens on both sides. Okay, they are in equilibrium, dynamic equilibrium. Okay, so out of these two, like, this is relatively more stable. Okay, fine. On a whole, the possibility is the salts, okay, sodium acetate, when it is reacted with water, will form this. Okay, acetic acid and sodium hydroxide. Same way, if it is treated, instead of sodium, suppose CH3CO minus NH3, then NH3, no, NH4 plus CCO minus, on treated with water, same as usual, same story. What is that? CH3COOH plus NH4 will form its respective base, that is NH4OH. Okay, so on a whole, what we are calling is hydrolysis. In other words, these that is ionic compounds are breaking down in the presence of water. Such a process is called as hydrolysis. Lysis means breaking off. So ionic compounds are broken off because of water into this. Fine. Okay, then when we talk about non-metals, halides of non-metals, I'll use this side. Halides of non-metals. Yeah, this is for objective point of view, this is important. So very simple, this is also very simple. Suppose if I have PCl5 plus water, it forms H3PO4, phosphoric acid, plus HCl. Okay, and suppose I have PCl3 plus water, it will form H3PO3 plus HCl. Okay, so do remember this. With PCl5 I have H3PO4, which PCl3 I have H3PO3. Okay, I'm not balancing the equation. If you like, for your sake I'll balance. Okay, 5, so here it should be 5 chlorines, and this should be hydrogens 3, so oxygens I'll see 4 oxygens, so there should be 4 oxygens, and here also 3 chlorine, so 3, and in that case 3H2O. Okay, fine. So this is a balanced equation. On a whole, bottom line is this: PCl5 will give H3PO4, PCl3 will give H3PO3. If you can remember this, this will automatically can be memorized. Okay, then this is what halides of non-metals. One more, if I talk about SiCl4 plus water will form H2SiO3 plus HCl. Okay, and SO2Cl2 plus H2O will form H2SO4 plus HCl. Do remember these reactions. Okay, we'll be talking again about these reactions while we talk about phosphorus group, and while we talk about group 14, again we'll be talking about these reactions, but as of now, information. Okay, so PCl5 H3PO4, PCl3 H3PO3, SaCl4 H2SiO3, and SO2Cl2 H2SO4. Alright, then decomposition of water. What do you expect? Will water decompose on heating? Yes, obviously it will decompose. And how does it decompose? It will decompose into hydrogen as well as oxygen. For this decomposition, again a pinch of acid, a pinch of base, or a pinch of alkali should be added. Okay, how? On electrolysis. As I said already, pure water is a bad conductor of electricity. Only when it is impure. Impure means apart from water, acid or base or alkali. Fine. So water breaks down as H2 plus O2. Okay, and this, like, it generally happens around 2500 degrees Celsius around. Okay, okay, I'll mention that also. 2500 degrees, around 2500 degrees Celsius, we will see like water molecule breaks down into hydrogen and oxygen, and in fact the extent that you get is hardly very low. Okay, hardly somewhere around 3 to 4%. Okay, max to max 4%. Alright, so this is decomposition. And the next one is water of crystallization. You'll observe, like, because of these water molecules only, copper sulfate CuSO4, okay, dot 5H2O. In fact, this copper sulfate takes 5 water molecules from the moisture. Normally copper sulfate crystals are colorless, but these 5 water molecules are absorbed by copper sulfate, and that's why it is blue in color. Blue. Copper sulfate is what in color? Blue in color. Why is it blue in color? Because of the 5 water molecules, and these water molecules which are making the copper sulfate in crystal form, that's why they are called as water of crystallization. Okay, or it is also called as water of hydration. We basically have two things, that is copper sulfate and another one is magnesium sulfate, MgSO4, and it has 7 water molecules. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? One more is there, that is with ferrous sulfate, FeSO4.7H2O. Okay, so these three, in fact there are some more, but these three very commonly will be observing. So water of crystallization is this. Fine. And apart from this, water can also act as catalyst. Water acts as catalyst. Okay, in some reactions, like especially the gaseous reaction, or highly the gases which are dry gases. Okay, dry gases do not react by themselves, do not react, so we generally use the medium, that is water. Okay, so in the presence of the water, the reaction, or water in the sense moisture, in the presence of moisture, the chemical process is happening. For example, I can say, like, which one, ammonia. Ammonia, on treating with hydrochloric acid, this happens only when there is a presence of water. Okay, that is moisture. Okay, so they will, the reaction between these two happens only when there is some amounts of water. Okay, and what you will find is NH4Cl. Fine. So NH4 plus Cl minus, that's the salt that is forming. So on a whole, both are gases. Okay, they are dry gases. In fact, they don't have anything to, if there is no moisture, the reaction cannot happen. Only in the presence of water, the water will start the reaction between HCl, and because of this HCl we have the lone pair of electrons. And okay, I'm not discussing about the mechanism here, but point is, moisture should be there for the reaction to happen. Okay, so these are the various points or chemical properties of water. So with this we stop. In the next class I'll talk about hardness of water, softness of water, how can we remove the hardness if it is there, and which water is good for health, and all these things. Okay, fine. Stay home, stay safe, and do excel chemistry. And if you have any doubts, comment, or in 2 to 3 hours session of maybe not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll do it. Okay, fine.